Yeah, global warming is real. The climate is changing, and I think it's undeniable that man has had some impact on that. It's hard to imagine 5 billion people in this organized society in the world we live in. That we don't have an impact. So I'm not a denier in that regard.
Yay.
That's not really that.
Nice to me.
Well, I know others, just discard it outright, and that doesn't make sense to me. I think conservatives lose ground when we don't embrace technology and science. I mean, why wouldn't we want to embrace the things that will enhance our lives? Because frankly, that lessens the demand on government. The things that we're on the verge of seeing and experiencing are going to be wondrous. They're going to be fantastic. I'm totally all in on discoveries and cures and solutions to things through technology and through the advancement of science. And I'm not a denier in that regard. I am skeptical about everything being because of climate change. The 8 hurricanes and 4 tropical storms we went through in 16 months was a pattern that has existed. Since then, there hasn't been a hurricane in 12 years. Is that because of climate change as well? I mean, you've got to be careful, I think, of saying that calamities, are always related to this. There may be some influence on it, but nevertheless, you have to adapt, be prepared to adapt. So I live in Miami. And here's the challenge. In one of these town hall meetings, some guy got up and said, the science suggests, I always get nervous when that comes out because it's not always suggested, but this guy said the science suggests that the sea levels in Florida are going to grow by 6 feet, and the average level of land is 6 feet. The implication is the entire state will be underwater. Well, that's not true. The sea level is not going to rise by 6 feet. It might, 1,000 years from now, who knows, but it's not going to rise in the near term, in the next 30 years or 50 years. But it doesn't matter. So this guy was trying to make a case. He was an intelligent person. He was trying to make a case based on faulty science, in this case, to make it sound more dramatic than it needed to be. The result of 3 inches or 4 inches or 5 inches of sea level rise in Miami is significant because it will change our water supply. It will create, during high tides, it will create floods. And so what do? We should adapt to that, and we should begin to plan over the long haul as people in South Florida what the world could look like if the sea level rose at what the expectation of it rising, which is in the inches. And that requires new growth management laws. It requires water supply, commitment to water supply. And that's the kind of thing that I think leaders need to be focused on. And the federal government should play a role both in research and development to identify the next disruptive technologies that could bring about renewable energy, as well as they should be focused on providing support for communities as they adapt to the new reality of a changing climate. I think that's the rational place where there's an intersection of common sense that left and right can agree on.